Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and we talk about wonderful products. And today I have with me Patti Greer and Chris Burres, and we are going to have a follow-up on the C60 product, which Free Range has now affiliated with, and I'm very happy about it. So I guess I could tell you my experience. I've been using the product for a couple of weeks now, and actually it's almost a month, I think. Yeah, I've lost track of time here. But anyway, I'm very pleased with it. And I feel like I could say the exact same thing that Chris said, is that I can tell when I don't take it. It's a subtle thing. I do believe that it gives me more energy, but it's not like coffee kind of energy. It's not that jittery thing. I think it increases your level of well-being, is how I would put it. And I love the face serum is awesome, and I'm seeing more and more results every day, I think. I do wash with a CBD product as well, so I'm getting a double whammy here. And it's my skin. It feels wonderful. I like it a lot. But I'm especially pleased, and I did up the dosage just a little on the C60 because I was enjoying the results, the increased or enhanced sense of well-being, and that's how I would describe it.
Wonderful.
And I would honestly, I can honestly say I wouldn't say that if it wasn't true. So.
And we just sent you some lip balms, our brand new product to try.
Yes, you did, and I love that too. And unfortunately, I had it in my pocket and I set it down someplace and I couldn't find it. But I like that too. That's a good product as well. I usually will put some on in morning and night, and then sometimes when I wear lipstick, which I do for my shows anyway, I'll put it on over the lipstick, first under it and then over it. But I'm impressed. I like it. I'm going to continue using it.
So. Good. Well, we're glad to have you on the team.
I like what you said about coffee and energy, because, you know, one of the things that can be hard to express to people about a product, right? So that we do have peer-reviewed published research associated with our product. And that peer-reviewed published research is a 90% extension of life in test subjects. And most people, when they hear 90% extension of life, they're like, yeah, that's probably not real. It is peer reviewed, it is published, it's out there for further review. So it's definitely real, but there's a big kind of learning curve or comfort level that people might have with a 90% extension of life. And so the next thing is, well, what else are our customers experiencing? Like our first customers took it just because those test subjects live 90% longer, and I might want to reap some of those benefits, right, if they're available. And then they started posting back to us all the benefits they were getting. And it's important to note that when we were originally selling the product, there was no marketing material with it. It was not, you know, we weren't sharing what to expect because we didn't know what to expect. We knew that our customers expected to be, they didn't know. They didn't have any expectation going into it. So placebo possibility didn't even really exist for the first 9 months with this product. And then they're coming back to us, and one of their most consistent testimonials is they take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day and better sleep that night. So we're like, hey, what's the next kind of way that we could market this? One, let's start a study. So we're working on a sleep study related to our product. And what's the next best way? What's the way that we could kind of get this information, get this product in front of people in a way that they might react to it, then where they might go, okay, well, now I'll try it. Like something that will almost double my life. Why would anyone want that?
Especially under current conditions.
Right. But let me try something that'll sleep. And so we, toss some ideas around, and it's very interesting to have kind of maybe a decaf coffee additive that is, all the energy, none of the jitters, and twice the sleep, right? Which even that's really hard to get your head around, because it's what our customers are reporting. But when you say all the energy, none of the jitters, okay, like I'm good there. Like, you've got me, Chris. Like, maybe this is something I'm interested in. And then better sleep. Okay, so now we're back to, well, you might as well tell me I could live 90% longer, except most people seem not to be that interested in living 90% longer, until you realize, hey, well, what if you were healthy and you could live 90% longer? Then they'll change their mind. But a lot of people can get their head around, the energy without the jitters, but the energy with the sleep is really, really tough for people to kind of get their head around.
Well, I think I would call it more of a cognitive focus type energy. It's not like it speeds you up. It just, well, I'm going to go back to the increased or enhanced wellness aspect of it. But if focused cognitively too, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the mental element is what I'm seeing a lot of testimonials, especially myself. I think a lot of people are beyond tested right now because they're friends and family, and they are so politically opposed. And we've been built into this bizarre separation chapter of human history right now, where people have no idea whose news is correct, yours or mine. And so to have a product that balances out our emotions and our triggers, which I feel like this is. Now, you mentioned CBD, which is like a physical sedative. This is like a mental sedative. I have found myself so calm, and a couple of people that we also do shows with, Ricky Rebel and Kirsten W. Both of them were like off the chart, energized, all over the place constantly, and saying it on the air, she has this and this and this, and all of a sudden we did a show with them a few weeks ago, and I said, "You're both so calm, I can't believe it." And each of them went, "God, I really am."
It's a focused calmness. I mean, it's like you have an increased cognitive clarity and focus, so that when you're energized, your energy isn't all over the place, in my opinion. That's just,
well, in theirs also. I mean, all of us are saying, wow, mentally, I feel different. Aside from sleeping better, having more flexibility during the day, more, but this mental thing at a time when we are in I think the hardest time in human history right now. The lies are so big. And I don't know if they're yours or hers or her, I mean, it's just so intense that if we don't balance out, we're going to make ourselves crazy. So in my opinion, aside from what it's doing for our bodies, I think that this product, the oil that we drink, is really doing something for the mind. And Chris can't talk about it medically because we don't make any medical claims. We're not doctors or scientists. We just have a miracle molecule in a bottle.
I'm a scientist.
I'm not. I stand extremely corrected. Wait a minute. That's right. That's what the code is. It's not a straitjacket. Kidding.
But that mental and balance, I think, is really true. Mental focus and balance.
And if you start looking at the positive impact of sleep, right? So if it is the case, and it's certainly the case that our customers tell us better sleep at night, take the product in the morning, better sleep that night. And that's very unique in and of itself, because I'm not like, there's only two other things that I'm aware of that if you do them in the morning, they can positively impact your sleep. One of them is get some exercise in the morning. And the other one is get some exposure to the sun, because that'll get the rising and falling of the sun, that circadian rhythm, in line with your physiology. And then you'll be better able to sleep that night. Other than that, you want to talk about the things that are on the market that are supposed to be natural health aids. You've got valerian is one of them. You got to take it before you go to sleep. You've got melatonin. That's a hormone that we naturally produce. It's the starting gun to tell your body, hey, it's a time to get prepared for sleep. There's some challenges with it, and it's still in the morning, like everything. And then you like just stay away from the $2 billion quote unquote sleep aid industry, where pharmaceutical companies will sell something to you that knocks you out, like literally knocks you out. You wake up without the desire for sleep. So that feels very refreshing. That's kind of nice. But you haven't got the sleep that you need. You haven't got the REM sleep or the NREM sleep that you actually need. Those are the most REM and NREM sleep, and sleep in the whole gamut of sleep states are the most healing and restorative medicines that you can possibly take. So make sure you're getting your sleep. And if we just take our product and that it's helping with that process, then you're actually getting the healing and restorative medicine of sleep that you actually need, really, for your calmness, right? Anytime you had less of a night's sleep, you're more on edge, right? That's a fact. And we're humans, so we don't actually know, like our cell phone has a little bar system, right? You got 4 bars for signal and 3 bars for power. We don't have that system. So we wake up with not 8 hours of sleep, or maybe 6 hours of sleep. And we don't have this little bar hanging in front of us, like, be careful how you interact with people today, because emotionally, your lack of sleep is going to cause you to make mistakes.
And be irritable. I got to add something to this, because this is that mental balance. Like sometimes I would be of the nature to, can't shut the mind off, to be able to go to sleep. So, achieving that mental balance is really important, and not getting enough sleep. There's something that I've noticed in my many years of life, that when I don't get enough sleep, that'll be when I'll get sick.
Yes.
And
because you're not going through that healing, you're not getting the healing medicine that really is sleep.
I am loving hearing this. I slept 11 hours last night. Every time Chris and I do a show in the last few weeks, I admit I'm sleeping like I don't ever remember sleeping this deep, this well. And I do go down. I mean, the sun goes down early and I live still in the mountains, but I go down when it gets dark. I don't last really long, but then I get up because I like to see the sunrise. So I'm kind of with the wildlife. Go down early, get up early. But I can't believe how I'm sleeping. I don't know. I do know what's different. But I will say, when I used to hear people talk about it on the shows we did, how great their sleep was, I was like, well, I'm still not sleeping very well. But now I must be healing like crazy, because I'm getting a lot of 10 and 11 hour a night sleep. And I'm really surprised. I haven't slept like this since I can remember. So I'm Chris's testimonial. He's the scientist, which of course I almost forgot. And I'm the person that has probably dealt with more stunning medical things than anybody I've ever met. And we were talking about cats with 9 lives, that for some reason they have that reputation. And Chris says, well, we don't really have that kind of, with humans. And I said, wait a minute. I'm on my 4th. So,
really?
Oh yeah, in this body, I can't believe I'm still here. And I swear, I give credit to what's in this bottle, which Chris and his partner Rob have been making since college. We rarely talk about their history, but in 1991, these 2 college kids were discussing with their teacher. I'm going to let Chris briefly, if he wants to, tell the story, where they realized that the value of gold was really high, but the value of carbon 60 even higher.
Way higher, like significantly higher. Yeah, $6,000 a gram was the actual price for carbon 60. And my business partner Robert was working at the Texas Center for Superconductivity, which is an institution housed inside the institution of the University of Houston. Go Cougs. And he was working with a Dr. Paul Chu, and we actually called that building that housed the institution on campus, we called it Chu's Castle, because Dr. Paul Chu was the guy who manifested this castle because of his fame as it related to superconductivity. So Dr. Chu comes in one day, and Robert and another buddy of ours were actually separating the molecule, right? The ESS60 molecule. And he came in and he was like, hey, you guys are young kids. This material is selling for $6,000 a gram. Why don't you guys go start a business? And my business partner, Robert, was from an entrepreneurial background, and it was $6,000 a gram. So the cash register went off in his head, and he's like, okay, let's start this. And then ultimately I was brought in to help design what would turn out to be the best piece of equipment for manufacturing fullerenes still to this day. And that was the origination of our business. What's really kind of cool is you think about something going viral, right? Viral in YouTube or viral in Facebook. And you don't often think about like scientific discoveries or molecules or a collection of carbon nanomaterials going viral, like in the scientific community. That's just like, a stuffy community of people, and like to go viral just doesn't equate. If you look at the year we started the company, so in 1991, all 10 of the most referenced research papers were related to buckyballs, ESS60, or nanomaterials in general. So that's like, if you just look at every paper that was published in 1991, every paper referenced, all 10 of the most referenced papers were actually covering fullerenes. So absolutely just an explosion of scientific virality happened in 1991 about this. And that's, kind of part of the reason, or that excitement behind it and the awareness of how important this molecule was, is why the discoverers won the Nobel Prize in 1996.
That's awesome. I think a lot of it has to do with the extra electrons that become available in the body, because we live in such an acidic environment. We need that to help neutralize that.
Exactly. So in the early days, so in the 90s, kind of into the late 90s, it was understood. I mean, really, this molecule performed as well or better than the current best material at every application. So better ink, better tires, better batteries, better photocells. And if you hover on batteries for a little while, first off, how cool would it be to have a Bucky battery? Like that needs to happen just because a Bucky battery sounds really cool. But they knew that it would make a good battery because it's got 6-fold symmetry. So there's 6 planes through this soccer ball shaped molecule about which it's symmetrical. And what that does is it gives us an incredible amount of physical resilience. So you can actually fire this buckyball at a steel plate at 15,000 miles an hour. Normal molecules will just shred apart. This one will compress and bounce right back. So it's got this incredible physical resilience. So when you add electrons to a molecule and then you pull those electrons back off of that molecule, you tend to do damage to the actual molecule. So we're familiar with our cell phones. We get it, day one, it's lasting 2 days, and we charge it when we need to. And then, a year and a half later, we're ABC. Always be charging, because your phone is going to die like imminently. And what's happened is degradation, physical degradation of the material, in this case, lithium. And so they knew that this could sit in there, and it's about cost competitive. So we legitimately might see Bucky batteries. I'd be very excited to see those. I would be one of the first ones in line to get one. And then you look at the ability for it to collect, to hold and release those electrons. You start also looking at what does an antioxidant do in our body, right? So when our body's going through the energy producing process, ATP process, it actually creates ROSs, reactive oxygen species, which have a charge, negative charge. And so that buckyball is able to hold those negative charges and then release them without degradation to the buckyball. So it's a uniquely qualified material to do some amazing stuff in our body. It's going to be a while, and I consistently say people a lot smarter than me are going to figure out what it's actually doing in our body. But you look at the peer-reviewed published research that shows a nearly doubling of lifespan of test subjects, and then you couple it with so many experiences, myself included, my wife included, most of the people at our office here included. and you look at their experiences and you say, well, something unique is happening here. And we will understand what that is at some point.
Well, so I was wondering about any kind of studies and if it has any effect on, say, for example, heavy metals or EMF, or, you know, some of the things that do negatively affect us, and possibly it's affecting us in a positive way by somehow altering the problems related to those substances or frequencies, if you will.
I think Patti can talk about you know, how what kind of impact she's had with kind of you're talking like a detoxing effect.
Yeah.
What I can share with you, when you start talking about frequencies and frequencies negative impact on our bodies, you're really talking about a fundamental breakdown of cells. And if you've got something there that's collecting the mess, right, that's sponging up the mess and getting that out of the way so that your body can rebuild itself, then that's going to be beneficial. So, you know, there's no research to specifically say it. I know there's research that shows that in rats exposed to radiation, they fared significantly better in the presence of the ESS60 molecule than without it. But beyond that, if you want to talk about human trials, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Well, radiation is something we're increasingly exposed to every day.
Yes.
And so that makes it even more critical and important. And you do have a personal experience with it in that regard, don't you, Patti?
Well, my experience is with inorganic mercury. And it is the only thing I would say that the ESS60 has not been able to completely cure for me. It's the only thing that I feel like is over the top. And I trusted the wrong dentist 17 years now. I was a harpist, pianist, singer, songwriter for 33 years. I was always a musician. Yeah. And so my fingertips were very important. And I went to the wrong dentist and I got my old silver fillings pulled out and new white ones put in. But when I woke up from his procedure, he had put in new mercury fillings, which are called silver or amalgam. But I was very clear in the chart, which I got a copy of as I left in tears, said white porcelain. So free nitrous, I passed out, woke up poisoned. And 6 months later, I lost the use of my fingertips, which still have cuts on them today. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a pretty bad cut. And it's like a bad paper cut, but I have a number of them every day. So when I go out, I wear Band-Aids. But 17 years, stunning. And it's the only thing that I haven't been able to get rid of. But it's also the reason I'm so passionate about people telling the damn truth. What I went through was an intentional poisoning. I don't know if there was something wrong with him mentally or he didn't like my new car. I have no idea why he would have done it.
I had, let me add to that. I had a son who had some cavities and they were going to fill them. And I said to the dentist, I don't want him to have any mercury fillings. He said, oh, that won't hurt him. That won't hurt him. That's, you know, it's just a little bit. It's not going to hurt him. And I thought, well, you lying.
So
blankety blank.
The whole system is unfortunately set up with the inorganic mercury that's in teeth and vaccines. And that's what's hurting people. It's making people extremely sick. And every doctor has agreed with the insurance people that they will only test people for organic mercury, not inorganic, which this is, organic mercury. And that's how they're getting away with it. And that's how I really hurt myself by believing my doctors for 7 years when I got my mercury blood test. They lied and they knew it. And so when I took them 3 boxes from the lab where I finally got the real test, inorganic mercury from quicksilverscientific.com, right here in Louisville, Colorado, I was over the red zone. And I had been over the red zone for 8 years. So my poor fingers are still not getting the message from my very balanced brain that's now sleeping 10, 11 hours a night. So who knows? I imagine I'm going to wake up someday soon. I've never slept like this. So I'm listening to Chris going, oh, the more sleep, the more healing. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. So
I think I need to take a nap.
Well, you know what? That's funny too, because I have to think when I was thinking about it and you were saying that, there's been a few days where I slept till like 10 o'clock and I'm going, oh my God, I don't remember sleeping this late and since way back when I was a teenager. Okay. So I'm going, what's going on here? So I don't know. Well, maybe it's the energies on the planet or what. I don't know what it is, but maybe it was the C60 too. I don't know, but
it really helps for sleep.
it does. It really does. And the only time I can honestly say that I might say that it didn't would be because I drank some coffee in the afternoon, and that always has a negative effect on my ability to sleep at night. But otherwise, it's been very, very good all around. I mean,
I'm ready to go into a sleep competition because I'd win. I just can't believe I'm sleeping like this. It's really a gift. So I wanted to mention that we respect that C60 is really expensive to make. Even though Chris and Robert invented the reactor, Star Wars looking to me, machine that's in their lab, it is a really advanced, expensive process to pull this off. So the product is expensive. And I tell people, if you're pouring it into your spoon or shooting it into, I mean, who knows how people take it. But if you spill any, you scoop it up and put it on your face. And if there's any dripping on the bottle, put it on your face. And I started finding my skin really improving. And so I asked Chris and Rob if I could create a facial serum, which we talked about briefly when you did your testimonial. But the product is so good and it changes everything it touches pretty much. And when you were asking about the frequencies and the technologies that we are fighting, every day with what's going on in the world, my only thought was that we know it neutralizes free radicals. And I know that when I first started taking the oil, I felt like I had a roto-rooter going through me and stuff came out of me through my skin, and left me. It was like, whoa, this stuff is pushing so much out. And some people, when they start, might feel a little queasy because they've got so much junk in their system. And it does attract to what needs to go. And Chris has heard me say that it's like an intuitive molecule that goes to where you need it. I had this issue, so it went there. Somebody else has eye issues, vision, dry eye, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, this is amazing. And who knew? So there's something about it just kind of does an overall cleansing of your system, whereas those things that are clogged and stuck are going to clear out better. So the facial serum, I worked with two different formulators. One was an herbalist, and she came up with chia seed oil because it's what she's using, and her skin is incredible. She's in her late 60s and she looks 40. Her skin was like butter. I didn't remember her ever looking like that. And here I am at a meeting to discuss a facial serum. And so I'm starting to talk and I was like, heck with my list. What are you using? You look, so it was like the gift from God that she found this miracle for her own face. And I could see the difference because I've known her 40 years. So Brigitte Mars, she's written a ton of books. Raw is the Law, Raw Foods, Rawsome. Clever, everything. But you hike with her and she doesn't get 10 feet without telling you, oh, that plant you can do this and that plant you can do that. And pine needles, you can chew them if you're lost in the woods and they'll give you a little vitamin C and just enough flavor to get your saliva. It's like the wisdom is amazing. So she began the recipe for the facial serum. And it starts with the chia seed oil. See, it's for men and women. Of course, mine is a lot lower than his, and this is my new bottle.
I didn't bring mine out here, but mine's in the bathroom.
And it's got the essence of rosemary oil, which she recommended. It's wonderful to kind of enliven you, but it's also incredible for nighttime because it takes your dreams into, she said, a higher frequency. Chris, pull that out. It's really an interesting system where you push down on the lid and you have this long tube with a little knot thing that goes up. So you just drip it. It's really a nice delivery system. Yeah.
Yeah, I just put it on my hand and then I just rub it on my face, you know.
Well, I could feel the difference the first morning and I was like, oh my God, did we hit a winner? And then we went to the labs formulator and I told her all natural, all vegan, organic if it can. And she searched high and low and came up with 21 ingredients. And I'm like, oh, come on, let's slim it down. And she said, why? And I was like, God, you're right. And I was like, hoping the lab wouldn't flip out. And they're like, why? So I was like, good, 21 ingredients, all natural. And then my mom said, and she's 91, oh yeah, it's as good as my expensive stuff that I use, every bit as good, but what it did to my lips was stunning. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, I've had this thing where I couldn't get rid of it. Your stuff works on my lips. So I called Chris and Rob and I said, okay, permission, I want a lip balm. And so we have the lip renewal in a mint, which I just love because you can taste it a little bit. You can smell it a little bit, but it stays on forever.
I like the idea of that because many years ago, I'm ashamed to say I used to smoke and you get these little lines from that. And I'm hoping they eventually go away.
Well, you can do clown lip balm because it's clear and do it outside, you know, your lips and see what happens. But I'm older and every time I see myself on a show, maybe it's because I don't put my glasses on, but my skin looks better than I think I've ever seen it. And I think it's our products. So I'm really, really delighted to be working with the only two guys in the world that have been making carbon fullerenes for 30 years now. Even though he looks like a kid, he is been doing this 30 years.
That's not fair. I wish I would have started a long time ago.
Isn't that interesting though? More valuable than gold.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Yeah.
So yeah, so you've got the mad scientist and then you've got the other mad scientist in the lab, then Rob with the cash register, cha-ching, cha-ching, you know, just racking the numbers but it's been the easiest relationship because we do things very differently. And I'm very woo-woo compared to Chris. And sometimes he has to put a lid on it. But on the other hand, you know,
I've been accused of that too, Patti. So
but we all make things happen. And that's what's important. You know, we do things differently. And here you are from your home. It's so cool that we can do this now. We can talk to anybody that shows up. We don't know who's watching, but it goes on for weeks, months, years that people can refer back to your show. And you know, I was speaking with a health and spirituality magazine today about doing some showcase with them and some promotions. And I said, you know, this is like breakthrough energy. This is like breakthrough medicine because it's not known. It's something that it's going to be like CBD was 10 years ago. We didn't know about it. It sounded like, oh God, you know, illegal like marijuana, but it's not. It's, I think, hemp instead of THC. So it's a whole different plant, but you know, they wanted to make it illegal because it actually works to help people have less pain. And now it's still semi-illegal to mail it across certain states, I think. I don't know, because I don't
it's crazy because, you know, the body has an endocannabinoid system. And if we weren't supposed to be exposed to some of those CBDs, we wouldn't have that to begin with. Why do we have receptor sites for it? But so anyway, that's a whole nother story though. And the way it's processed and so on is also a factor. But the thing that I'm just really tickled about this C60, and I do hope that people give it a fair shot because it's amazing. I don't know how else to put it. It really is, and I can see how it would increase the longevity. And it must have something to do with those telomeres. That's one thing I can figure out. You know, and the electrons is what I'm thinking. But
what about having less toxins? You know, as you neutralize all that stuff and it comes out, You know,
Yeah.
that in my opinion, but again, I'm not medical, I'm not scientific. I'm just an experiencer, but I take a good hefty tablespoon every morning. And when we do a show, if I walk past it, I'll look over there like, yep, and take another little swig, which I did today because I'm at the bottom of that bottle. So I'll
Because we were doing the show today, I took a tablespoon.
well,
But
it feels good. And, you know, I used to suggest to everybody, take it with food by noon so you get a good sleep at night. And now I'm finding that because sometimes I forget and I don't want to, I am hitting it early in the morning, like with my coffee. Have my
Mhm.
coffee, and then when I go and grab all my supplements, I take another. I keep doing it like this because I did today at the end of my bottle. Chris does it in a gentlemanly way in the little shot glass. Some guys
Shot, shot,
tequila.
shot.
yeah, actually a shot glass is better because I have this tablespoon thing, you know, which is a spoon, and then it's harder to get it all. You have to lick the spoon.
Yep.
Or wipe from the spoon onto your face.
Well,
But
that's-
since you work with us now, you get the facial serum.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I find amazing about the facial serum is that people usually notice the first morning. I've had a lot of people write me and say, wow, first day. And
The
today we got
smooth-
yeah, it plumps the skin really quickly. Today we got a testimonial from a lady that said she put it on a scar 16 days ago and she can't believe the difference. So she said, I wish I'd taken a photo. And I said, your words are good enough, you know. But that was interesting because I have, with my 9 lives that I've had 4 of already.
You know how many lives you actually get, right?
How many?
Well, it's 60.
Oh, I get 60? A long haul. Yeah, no, I just kind of want to stay in this. I want to stay in this form, keep sleeping, keep healing, and bring myself back. But I unfortunately got dosed with uranium poisoning by a person who left it for me to be sure that I didn't do well. And so ever since then, I've been dealing with skin cancer issues from, I think, the uranium, because I never had any. And I've had 4 now, which means 8 different procedures. Number 7 was today. So today I had stitches out, but I have been back and forth, back and forth. And now I've had 7 different procedures on my skin. And the doctor today looked at me and she goes, you are the most determined person I've ever met. Your attitude is so amazing. And she won't let me give her a sample because she's a dermatologist and she can't, you know. Today I was like, I just want to bring you our lip balms, but I know I can't. I mean, she's so wonderful. But I've been through more than most people. And it's not really okay, but somehow this, I mean, if anybody's been tested, I'm going to say me. So today I had my stitches out and I looked at the doctor and I said, okay, this is the 7th time. And I've had no pain. I've had 7 procedures. I've got an 8th coming up. Thank you, God. But I have had no pain. And I said to her, I have pain in my fingertips from all the cuts. So I know I have pain. But I have had no pain with 7 different surgeries and stitches. And she looked at me and she said, you're amazing. And I just kept staring at my bottle in my mind going, is it this? Is it this? Like, why wasn't I doing this 20 years ago, 17 years ago, darn it, you know? But I think there's also an element of this mental thing that has made me incredibly strong, where I feel like, I know we're here at this time for a reason. None of us are here accidentally in this great awakening. There's no way nobody's going to get out of this alive or free. But between now and when we leave this body, we are all in it to win it. And this is an interesting time where I can't imagine not having C60 Evo on a daily basis for me. I'm very spoiled because I own the company with the guys. But the difference that it's made in my personality of blame and shame and all those things of people that don't believe like you do politically, or God bless my mother, she what do you mean you're not getting vaccinated? You used to be so smart. It's like,
Oh my gosh.
there is this grace in me that no matter what people even I care about say, I really give a lot of credit to our company and what we're delivering. So aside from, we used to talk just about flexibility and sleep, but now everybody's talking about the mental aspect, including you. And it's remarkable. So the inside out set, and now we've got inside out and lips because we're expanding our product line. And luckily we have a lab. So basically I'm like having a lab party. I've got my next project already in mind, but we do special deals. If you order all them like in a set, you save money. And the lip balms come in a 4-pack. You can get 4 of these or 4 mint or 4 plain or 2 and 2, but they are so good and they last a long time. And all of a sudden that crusty lips, I don't know where you live, but we get crusty lips in Colorado. I'm feeling pretty supple these days.
Arizona is pretty dry here.
Yeah.
Well, so don't lose it. You got to go find it.
I know, I gotta find it. It's here somewhere.
That's the problem with the little rolling, they roll. But our business, at a time like this, which a lot of people are being really careful with their spending, as we should be. There's nothing more important than your health.
Exactly. If you don't have your health, what do you have? You can't do much of anything. But there's something I'd like to add, before we close this off. And that is, I do believe that all of us are here for a reason at this time, because this is a very special historical time like none other. And playing the part and being a part of things that help people, that heal people, that give people the strength to keep going, I think is absolutely critical. And I think you guys have something here in that regard.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a few little bits of medicine I want to throw in, like when I drive into town, it takes me about 30 minutes. And so I usually listen to news, and I listen to the opposite of what I believe to make myself understand how other people think, because it is so extreme. And I find sometimes that all of a sudden my brain kicks in and I go change the frickin' channel. And so and I don't know how I can do 68 channels without looking, but I land on comedy and all of a sudden it changes the channel. So I encourage people, not only because we just stepped into spring, change the channel. When you're not happy, when you're frustrated, when you're furious, trust me, change the channel. Go from news to comedy. And if the comedian is really rude and loud and disgusting, like the Grammys just were, turn it to 1 up or 1 down, because there's like 5 in a row. I've got Sirius FM, but it changes my mood. And I'm at red lights, the only person smiling, laughing sometimes. And I'm sure they're going, what's up with her? But someday soon they'll go, that girl's on C60 Evo. I can tell she's laughing.
That's so important, Patti, because right now too, they say you create your own reality. Well, we're creating as a collective, and people being happy is really important, and concentrating on what you want, not what you don't want. And if you want health, you have to look at the things that are out there that can help you enhance that and get that. So I'm just absolutely delighted to be a part of this and to be offering this to people as well.
Yay. So. Well, thank you for your support. Chris, any upcoming, anything on your end to surprise me with?
No, I've always got something going on.
That's why I asked.
First, Gail, thank you so much for having us again. It's great to be able to share this message. I can tell you, Patti is driven by the results that she's gotten, and I'm driven by our customers. Like, we tried very hard not to get into the supplement industry. I feel like that industry struggles with, we'll just say it's challenged, right? There's a peer-reviewed published paper that says 50% of supplements on the market don't have in them what they say they have in them.
That's so true.
And unfortunately, we've identified that that's true, actually worse in the C60 industry. It's kind of why we branched off and said, hey, let's talk about ESS 60, which is safer for human consumption, a way to keep consumers safe and to make sure that they get what they believe they're getting. And so I just, so we're trying to do good in an industry that we never really wanted to be in because of, some of the challenges that the industry has. We're doing a sleep study, we're working on a DNA study, we're working on recreating the rat study. This is just not normal for a supplement company. There's risks and certainly significant costs in all of those, and it's just the right thing to do.
That's
I love
I
that.
like that. The right thing to do is important.
Yeah.
It really is. And, just like you're saying, in the supplement industry, having a nutritionist background, I mean, just knowing that some of those out there are GMO supplements and people don't know it and they don't have it on the label and things of that nature. So purity, quality, and honesty in business is really, really the gold standard.
Well, and I just want to share, kind of, because that brought to my mind, we have our products on Amazon, so great, you can go get them. We want to make it convenient for our customers, but the whole Amazon ecosystem, especially as it relates to supplements, is a significant challenge, right? So if you go on there and you're buying headphones, I bought some headphones recently, and I spent way too much time figuring out what headphones what features I needed and reading like hours, and like, these are $25 headphones. You should not have spent that much time, but I do. And it's great because people will say, oh, this one didn't last long, and you get really good reviews, and the reviews are about the quality of the product because people can stick that product in their ears and understand the quality of the product. But you look at supplements, and it's almost like the opposite of true, that you can take a supplement, let's take vitamin C, for example. Somebody orders a vitamin C off of Amazon and they get their box, and then, Amazon harasses them to leave a review, and they finally leave a 5-star review. And you have to ask yourself about supplements on Amazon, what does a 5-star review actually mean, right? There's a couple things we know it doesn't mean. It definitely doesn't mean that this individual took that vitamin C tablet and took it to their HPLC. That's, by the way, a high performance liquid chromatography machine that nobody has in their garage. And they didn't make sure that it was ascorbic acid. We know that didn't happen. And that's not what that 5-star means. We also know that they probably didn't even weigh the tablets to make sure that it was 1 gram instead of 0.9 grams. They probably didn't even count the tablets. So if it says 90 and the bottle's not empty, they're like, that's probably 90. And we'll find out in 3 months if it was actually 90, give or take 3 days. I'm not going to notice. And so, all of these things, that 5-star doesn't mean anything in terms of supplements. So I believe it's not a healthy perspective to go onto Amazon and use their 5-star rating system in order to understand if a product is good, because for the example that I just gave you. So you want to make sure you're doing research. You want to go to the original source. You want to deal with people who will present themselves to you in a forum that's not edited, where you see a lot of consistency. I may share with you opinions that that don't have science behind them right now, but I will tell you, look, there's no science behind this. This is what I believe. And you got to look for people who have the kind of integrity to speak with you from a really solid point of integrity. And anyone can call themselves a scientist. Like, you usually can hear if they've got the integrity. You can usually hear like, hey, they're saying a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of stuff that they're saying, but they're not talking about the peer-reviewed published research that's supporting that those statements. And you've got to look for that.
And unfortunately, there was so much money made in the last few years in the industry that we have some of the most disingenuous people in business, I think.
Oh, that's so true. That's what I was going to comment on that because it's hard to find that, like when you're talking about supplements as an example. I would try to rely on what I knew about the company or the integrity of the company, which I would be, getting it from, where they had independent testing or additional, um, just where you could rely on that. Because like you said, I don't think those reviews mean a whole lot. And I never even thought about counting the number of
Right.
something's in the bottle, but that's a good point.
And you may have left a 5-star review, and you're genuinely leaving a 5-star review. But what does it mean? It just means mostly it's about the shipping. Like, it got here on time and now I have it, and I'm happy that I have it because I believe I need it. I don't know for sure what's in it, right? Especially when you're dealing with smaller companies. The bigger the companies, the more kind of FDA compliance they have. They're in line with GMP, so they're going to have the right processes. Smaller companies or who don't have the kind of scientific pedigree that we have aren't going to follow those the way they need to.
Yeah, I was very impressed with the fact that this was 30 years and the original company that started the C60 line, because there's always a lot of imitations out there. Just like I would say that about the CBD products. You can go buy it at your corner convenience store, but how good is it going to be?
Yeah.
Same with C60. Oh, I'm going to pick out the one that's the cheapest. Well, you do pay for quality. I hate to say it, but you do.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Chris's mention of the HPLC machine is most important because it's how you can really tell what's in the bottle. And we test every batch that goes out, and our batches are in big urns that run for 3 weeks, no air, no light. They just keep turning at the same speed, at the same temperature for 3 weeks to get maximum concentrations. And we do sell 3 oils, but after testing in the HPLC machine, we know that the olive oil holds more C60 than any other oil that we tested. And coconut oil holds less than half the C60, no matter how much you put in or how long you mix it. So there's a maximum level. And what Chris and Rob found, without telling me, they bought 22 products from different companies online, all the ones that were advertising a lot. And they tested them in the lab in the machine to see if they had what the bottle claimed. Now, a lot of people claim third-party tested, but who's that? Your Uncle Bob? Like, really? Was it in a real lab, in a real machine? Because we tested that product and it had 1/10 of what the bottle said. So then the companies, to minimize their whatever, now they say maximum concentration, but we know that the maximum concentration in olive oil is 0.8 to 0.86. And you get lucky sometimes when it holds more, but that's the range. And avocado oil holds 0.6 to 0.65. Coconut oil, MCT organic, the best you can get, holds only 0.35 milligrams per milliliters, which is less than half the olive oil. So we sell all 3 because people want different things. But we always recommend and show on the air olive oil, because we know that it holds more C60 than any. But when Chris and Rob tested in the lab those 22 products, the comment that came out of the lab was woefully low, as if truly there's really not much competition with C60 Evo other than what comes out of the research lab that Chris and Rob own. I mean, we wanted to see competition. We wanted to see people with integrity, but literally some of them had 1/10 of what the bottle said, or 1/3 of what the bottle said. And it was pretty consistent that none of them have an
Well, that explains why when I tried C60 several years ago, that I didn't have any noticeable difference.
Well, we don't want them to hurt the industry, so that's why we are upping the game with ESS 60. You're guaranteed to get what the bottle says. Chris, I'm sorry.
Integrity from a company is harder to find than many people might think. And we as humans, I think, just don't expect that. Just like we don't expect to have a doctor that isn't totally got our health in mind and not his pocketbook. that kind of thing, you know. And so I salute you for that, and I'm glad that it's a company we can rely on, that you're getting what you say you're giving us.
Yes.
So that's wonderful, and that kind
They're
of
called bad
intimidate,
actors.
hard to find. So maybe we should do this another time, and maybe in another month or so, if you want to.
Yep. Be happy to.
I think I think we need to cover about pets at some point, and
Oh, yes.
'cause we didn't do that one yet, and then also it gives another month on the product, and I can, you know, um,
Do
continue
you have
to.
any pets?
I do have a young puppy. She's she's asleep on the couch over there. She's black. You can't even see her. But yeah, she's my fur angel. She's my companion. I
So you
love her.
could put some drips of your olive oil in her food and see if you notice any changes in her. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was good for her. I'm sure it was. And I want her to live as long as she possibly can.
We have,
And
so with my dog, I've got a miniature schnauzer. If I don't do the dropper over the food, I'll set the food down and she'll just look up at me like, hey, it's not ready yet.
come here, baby. Here.
So your dog not only knows when you've got the Evo in the food. Oh,
So cute.
cute.
She's so black you can't even see her
So
eyes.
black. So Chris's dog stands up and turns in circles. He's not just any dog.
Yeah.
She actually can stand on her two back feet and stay up for a very long time. It's kind of amazing. It's like almost she's a circus dog.
That's what I was saying about Chris's dog. Yeah. But, let's not underestimate Chris, who used to go out on the dance floor like John Travolta by himself. And then, they'd flock on him. But Chris he was like literally the dancer that he, yeah. And that's pre C60 Evo. So when he came and visited me, we had a few minutes on the dance floor with he and I and his wife and kids. It was really fun. And yeah, we don't want to lose that spirit, no matter how old or how wounded. I want to make every day so much nicer. And the last thing I'm going to say is that my spring gift was a sage stick that has flowers in it. So bringing in the divine feminine for this springtime and bringing it into myself, which each of us really needs to do now. That's, I think, what this great awakening is for each of us to move into a better version of ourselves. And what better way to do it than to have a product that you can take on a spoon in the morning and be a nicer person all day long. Works for me.
It works for me too. It sounds like a wonderful plan. So thank you so much. And I'll see you again in another month.
Great.
All
Thank
right.
you, Gail.
Okay.